What's up, what's up, what's up? It's your man Chazz Ellis once again giving you the information that you asked me for. We got a real good debate going on AskChazzEllis on Facebook.com. Hit that up. If you have any personal messages that you want to give, any kind of information you want to give me, please go to AskChazzEllis on Facebook so your questions can be answered. Also, you can get on the message board on there. You can talk about stuff and go back and forth. I ask different questions. Be a good opportunity for you to do that. Also, the Kickstarter thing is still going on. I've got 23 more days. Please donate to Kickstarter. Some of y'all said y'all were going to donate to Kickstarter. Hadn't done it yet. I'm not saying you was lying. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, you only got like 23 more days left. So go ahead and make your donations to Kickstarter. It's the Chazz Ellis Project on Kickstarter.com. There's going to be an annotation somewhere. It changes around a little bit, so it's going to be an annotation somewhere. It's going to be up here one. So look around for it. Okay, the question was also, after this video, like and subscribe. I'm going to tell you again, but make sure you like and subscribe. The question that I got was, does a man need money to be in a relationship? So I asked that question. I got the question. Then I asked it to everybody else on Facebook. I was like, and I got a bunch of different answers. But the general consensus was basically, yes, a man does need money to be in a relationship. So, of course, I felt like I needed to answer the question because I asked it of other people. The answer to the question is no. You don't need money to be in a relationship because there are people in relationships that don't have money. So that means that clearly you don't need it to be in a relationship. Otherwise, there wouldn't be anybody who was in a relationship that didn't have money. So you don't need it. But having money does make a relationship easier. When you're in a situation where you got some money, you can do certain things. If you're living in your mama's basement and you trying to get some booty, it's kind of tough because your mom keep coming back from church. And, she's like, what y'all doing down there? I don't know. And I heard a bunch of noise. And, you don't want to deal with that kind of stuff. So, yes, having money makes things easier because it makes your proximity closer. Because even if you live far away, like say you live 50 miles away from the person. If you got a car, you can drive from one place to another. If you don't have a car, if you live 5 miles away, that's far. It's like, dang, I gotta walk 5 miles every time I want to see this chick. Or some dudes even ride a bike or something. Or ride the bus or whatever. But it makes things more difficult. So not having money does make a relationship a little bit more difficult. That being said, you could definitely be in a relationship without money. I would even suggest to most guys that's the best time to find a relationship is when you're not in the best financial situation. The reason why is because it's a good tester for a person. It's also a good tester of what things will be like. You want to be working towards something and be working towards getting money. You want to have a vision. You want to be working towards it. But it's a good time. It's good to get somebody on the way up while you're on the way up. Why do I say that? Here's something that a lot of ladies probably don't know about men. You have to understand as a woman, if you care about superficial things, you have to be able to exist in a superficial realm. What do I mean by that? You can't be sitting here talking about, I want a dude that got a nice car. I want a dude that got a nice house. I want him to be this tall. And because I don't want nobody that's like close to my height. I want somebody like, bam, like way taller than me. I want somebody to have money. He gotta have a big thing. I don't know. I don't mess with nobody that got no small. I don't do that. He gotta be good in bed. He's gotta be this. You start lining all those things up. Basically, what you're saying is your personality, who you are as a human being, isn't enough for me. I get that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that that's wrong. But you also have to understand that if that's the way you're judging people, you got to be able to hold up to that yourself. And you have to understand you have to hold up to it based on their judgment. Because that's another thing I go into. You have to understand that as a woman, you can't just sit here and say, I want a man that's got this, and this, and I bring to the table that I'm a nice person. No. You have to be able to exist in a superficial realm because you're being superficial. You can't say, I'm a nice person and that makes me a good person when you're saying you're a good man because you have this, and this. You have to judge yourself by the same criteria or be left out in the cold. If the kind of money a guy has matters, how you look matters. If you're not the most attractive girl in the world, you're not physically pleasing to the eye, you have to understand you're going to be disqualified, just like you disqualified a guy that didn't have money. Just because you have a good job and all that kind of stuff doesn't mean that you're pleasing to a guy. You have to understand you're going to have to be what we find superficially to be important. So you can't sit and go, I got my own house. I got my own car. I'm big time. I'm this, that, and the other. I'm supposed to get this type of dude. We're going, yeah, you got that and that going for you, but you're not that cute. And that's what we cared about. So to exist on a superficial plane, you got to be superficially pleasing. Otherwise, it's probably not the way to go. If you're sitting there worried about what kind of money a guy got in his pocket and you're not bringing to the table things that attract guys that have money, you're going to be left out in the cold over and over again. Men are different than women. This is a problem that a lot of women run into because of the fact that they do want a guy that's in a financially good position. They do want a guy who's kind of a lot of women want a guy that's a finished product. I got a car. Somebody said on my Facebook, they was like, because you can't raise a man. K. Michelle said you can't raise. First of all, never take advice from K. Michelle. Does K. Michelle have a man? Have you ever seen K. Michelle with a man in recorded history? Don't take advice from people who don't have what you want. Anyway, that's beside the point. And that also are telling you crap that this. Well, anyway, that's beside the point. She says K. Michelle says you can't raise a man. And I'm like, I totally get that. I don't know how being broke means you're not a man. But anyway, I totally get what you're saying. But you have to understand the way men think as opposed to the way women think. Men don't want what they don't need. Don't want it. Have no use for it. Women want things that they don't necessarily need. Here's an example. Almost every woman you talk to will say, I don't need a man. I want somebody to be with. I want somebody in my life. I don't need nobody. When's the last time you ever heard a dude say something like that? A woman can be with a man and say stuff like, I don't need you. I want you to be here, but I don't need you. When the last time you ever heard a man say something like that? We don't talk like that because that's not how we believe. We want the things that we need. We want you because we need you. We feel like, okay, these are things that I don't want to do by myself. This is somebody that I want to help me along with my life. And we prioritize things based on what we feel we need. For instance, if you come into a situation where we're a complete finished product and we don't need you, we're going to treat you like somebody that we don't need. We're going to be like, yeah, I don't care what you say because I can replace you. You don't have value. That's what women are going to have to understand. We value things based on what we need. If we don't need you, you don't have value. You didn't help us get to where we are. We don't really feel like we need you as some sort of ingredient to our success, to what makes our life better. So we treat you in that fashion. We're like, I'm good no matter what. If you went somewhere tomorrow, someone else could be doing what you're doing. Unfortunately for women, a man could give them the world. But if it ain't the right man, it doesn't matter. Men, just kind of like with men, when we can have sex with anybody. If you put two girls together that look the exact same side by side, we don't care which one we have sex with. We don't care. Doesn't matter. You put two guys that look the exact same side by side, and a woman only wants to have sex with one of them. To us, that doesn't make any sense. We're like, wait a minute, what is the matter? But you guys, it's more to it to you. It's not just the sex. It's like a guy could look at some of the guys that was in the friend zone. It could be a guy that's just as good as the other guy, but that's not the one you wanted. So women are a little bit more particular about things. Women want things that they don't necessarily need. If you ever see a man pack and a woman pack, I'm not talking about, like, I know some of y'all are like, well, I know a guy that packs more than I do. I'm talking about like a manly man. When you see him pack and you see a woman pack, like for instance, like my mom and my dad go somewhere and they go somewhere for like a week. My dad will have one bag. He'll have one big bag. It'd be like, big bag. And then he'll have a little small bag, about that big. And he'll put all his toiletries in the small bag, all his clothes in the big bag. 2 bags. Doesn't matter how far he's going. Doesn't matter how long he's going. 2 bags. That's it. Never brings anything else. Never. My mother could go somewhere for 2 days. She'll bring 5, 10 bags to go somewhere for 2 days. She'll be like, well, just in case I want to bring some new shoes, I need some shoes here. Well, I'm bringing this bag so I can put stuff in it if I buy it. And you're like, why do you need this? And pretty much every woman I've ever been around brings a ridiculous amount of stuff, no matter where they're going and for how long. Because women bring things that they don't necessarily need. Men are streamlined. You go shopping with a woman. You can't stand to be shopping with a woman because women buy things in a totally different way than we do. They buy things they don't necessarily need. They'll be like, oh, I gotta have this. I gotta see this. Oh, I gotta go look at this. Man is like, look, I'm about to get these J's that just came out. I'm gonna buy a shirt to go with them, and I'm gonna buy some pants. And I'm out of here. It's just how we think. We streamline our lives. And I think women don't understand that a lot of times, so they want to be with a guy who's already a finished product, and then they wonder why that guy doesn't have any respect for them. Because you weren't a part of him becoming this finished product. You want to... Now, I know a lot of women are thinking, well, I tried to support a guy who was broke, and this happened. Well, see, that's why you have to be a scout of talent and abilities. You want to catch a guy when he's right there on the way up. You don't want to catch somebody who's already there, because then you get the NBA treatment. That's what I call it. I call it the NBA syndrome. It's when a woman marries somebody that plays in the NBA or somebody of that level, somebody of high, ridiculously high level, and expects to be treated like a valued asset. You're not one, really. What value are you? You got to be real with yourself. I always tell people, be real with yourself. You can only place the value on something that someone else is willing to pay. You don't get to make your own value. You can't sit here and say, I made this purse yesterday and it's worth $20,000. Because the first question someone else is going to ask you, well, who offered you $20,000 for that? Nobody. Well, how much did they offer you? $10. Well, your purse is worth $10. That's all people will pay for it. You're being delusional. And that's what happens with a lot of women. They get a guy of a high level that they had nothing to do with his success, and then expect to be treated like something extremely valuable. They're like, well, I pay my own car note, and I pay my own house, and I got my own money. But that's not valuable to him. You're not bringing anything to the table for him. Not that some other woman couldn't be doing. You weren't a part of the success. You can't expect anything. So you want to try to get somebody on the way up so you could be a part of it, and then they have a higher level of value for you. You just got to make sure that you're picking somebody that's actually on the way up. Another thing that women deal with is the fact that somewhere along the line, women got this, and I know y'all gonna get mad at me. A couple of y'all gonna get mad at me for a few things I say here, but this is gonna piss some people off because people don't want to hear this. But somewhere along the line, someone told women that a good woman is somebody who does great things to improve her life. And a good man is somebody who does great things to improve the life of the woman that he's with. What measures a good man is what he does for a woman. A lot of y'all raise y'all sons that way and you wonder why they turn out to be messed up. Because everything you talk about is how to treat a woman, what you do for a woman. You don't necessarily tell him how to be a good man for himself. And a lot of women feel like you're a good man based on what you do for me, based on what kind of person you are towards another woman, towards a woman. And they see themselves as a good woman based on what kind of a person they are for themselves, for their children, not for that man. Well, this just ass backwards thinking. And it's what leaves you out in the cold a lot of times. I know some of y'all are going to get mad because I know that's going totally against your programming. Because the reason why you get programmed that way is because everybody's trying to sell you something. And they don't want to piss you off because it's hard to sell somebody something once you piss them off. Like, if I'm sitting here saying, buy this book or support this, and then I'm saying stuff that I know is possibly going to piss you off, I'm doing something that could possibly be detrimental to my own success. So, the easy thing to do is for me to just tell you what you want to hear. Anyway, what most women have been programmed to believe is that doing things for yourself makes you a good woman. Like, listen to what a lot of women say. I pay my own car. I pay for my own house. I support myself. I'm not asking a man for anything. I'm a good woman. But when she's dealing with a man, she's like, he don't do nothing for me. He don't do this. He don't do that. You're a real man. Like I heard, I read these memes and stuff that people have all the time. It's like, a real woman can do everything for herself, but a real man won't let her. Well, you got to reverse that. Stop making memes about what men need to do and making memes about what you need to do. Because you can't control nobody else. Anyway, what I'm saying is, you guys get programmed that way. It's like you guys sit there and think, okay, what did this man be doing for me to make him a good man? But you're not thinking that way about what you need to do to be a good woman to a man. Not just your idea of a good woman. To give yourself value to a man. You're saying a man needs to have a job and needs to have this amount of money to come into a relationship with me. This is what a man needs before he gets into a relationship. But what are you coming into a relationship with that he would care about? If I'm sitting here on 6 figures, you paying your own car and your own house isn't doing anything for me. Has no value to me whatsoever. The job you have has no value to me whatsoever. I don't care what kind of money you make. It's not going to affect me. I'm already paying my own bills. I'm just going to be taking you out on dates. So there's nothing that you can do financially that's going to affect me. I'm good financially. So you're not going to affect me in that respect. So bringing that up is of no use and no value. So what is it that you bring to the table that's of value to a man, to the man that you want? If you're sitting here talking about I'm a good woman and I want this particular type of man, I want a man that's got himself together. I want a man that's got some money, but you don't know how to cook. What value do you bring to that man? Even being able to cook doesn't necessarily, I mean, he could buy food, but you could at least say, okay, I can bring something that you're not necessarily doing. I'm a good woman. I want a man that's got a nice house. I want a man that's got a nice house. I got my house. I got my car. Okay. How is that helping him? Are you going to clean his house? Or are you going to help him with his investment strategies for the future? Are you going to work at his company and put some effort forward to make it even bigger and greater than it is? What are you doing to attract the type of person, the type of successful person that you're looking for? How are you a good woman to a good man? So when people ask me, does a man have to have money coming into a relationship? I say, it depends on what kind of woman he wants to date. It depends on what the woman brings to the table. And it also depends on what that woman is expecting out of a relationship. If you're expecting to be a 50-50 equal in a relationship, then no, he doesn't necessarily have to bring money to the table because you're wanting to be a 50-50 equal. If you're expecting to be more like kind of an employee in a relationship, then yes, he definitely has to be rich. He has to have a lot of money. He has to have his thing all together. But you can't really necessarily have both. You can't come into a situation that you didn't. It's kind of like if I knocked on the door of Microsoft right now. I was like, "Hey, I'm looking for a job." They're like, "Oh yeah, we got plenty of jobs. Just sign up. You be some entry level." Nah, I ain't looking for nothing entry level. You crazy? I'm trying to be the COO. Say what? You trying to be who? All right, well, I'll settle for president. Fool, you can come in here and shuffle these papers just like anybody else, or you can leave. Because there's plenty of people trying to work here. There's difference between coming to that situation and then going to your cousin Boudreaux, who's trying to start a barbecue joint down the street, and saying, "Hey, Boudreaux, I'm trying to come in and be vice president. I'm coming in trying to be president. I want to be COO." And Boudreaux going, "Man, I need some help. Appreciate you, dog." See, Boudreaux got a goal, got something going on, and boom, you come in and you help him out. You're 50. You can end up maybe even being a 50-50 partner. You're like, "Yo, you want to be a 50-50 partner? Cool." Because it's something that's on the way up. You can't come into stuff that's already been established and expect some type of gratitude for your presence there. All you did was coming into what anybody else would have came into. And if you want to try to do that, you got to make sure you super ridiculously top level. Hopefully I was able to help you. Once again, it's your man Chazz Ellis answering the questions that you asked me. If you got any other questions, go to AskChazzEllis on Facebook. Also, support this Kickstarter. Got 23 more days left. You might be watching this and it might even be less. Look at the date, I guess. You got 23 more days left. Go to Kickstarter. The Chazz Ellis Project on Kickstarter.com. And also, like and subscribe. Peace.